Number 10. Meet Roy Benavides. Roy Benavides in the Vietnam War got shot in the face, head, and legs in an attempt to save his fellow soldiers on the battlefield. But the craziest part is he killed some of the enemies and succeeded in saving his friends, all while being filled with bullets, and he survived while doing all of it. The story goes like this. When things started getting hot for the US Army in Vietnam, there were rising fears over the loss of the whole barricade. A helicopter was later sent to the rescue, but things were not the way they were supposed to be, since the ground was scorching with a fierce battle, and so the helicopter couldn't land. No matter how much they tried to get the helicopter down, things were just not possible. A decision was then made to remove the chopper from the area and abandon the remaining soldiers who were busy on the ground, fighting for their dear lives. Out of remorse, compassion, and sheer big balls, a brave man known as Roy Benavides decided to pull a "fuck it, I'll do it myself," and jumped off the helicopter into the battlefield, which was around 30 to 50 feet in the air. He then ran towards his fellow soldiers who were finding it hard to defeat their enemies on the battlefield. It was during this time when he was shot in the face, head, and leg. Surprisingly though, the bullets never took him down. As he was saving his squad members, he took a grenade to the back and got shot again, this time in the gut. But Roy kept going, and he later found out that the chopper he had just jumped out of moments ago had crashed. So, he proceeded to rescue the wounded pilot from the wreckage and went ahead to call in the airstrikes and call for another rescue attempt. He was then shot again a couple more times in the thigh. But once again, he seemed to be immune to bullets. As he was heading to the backup helicopter, he was encountered by an enemy. Despite being shot multiple times, he engaged in hand-to-hand combat. The enemy ended up stabbing him, and he still beat the hell out of the enemy, killing him in hand-to-hand combat. His comrades, who were now safe and okay, decided to also help him get into the chopper since he had sustained lots of wounds. Upon the arrival at the base, he was pronounced dead, and worse, was put into a body bag. But Mr. Knowledge, I thought you said he survived. I'm not finished yet. As they were zipping the body bag, the only strength he could muster to let them know he was still alive was to spit out blood from his mouth. He later survived these wounds and was congratulated for his effrontery and bravery with the Medal of Honor. Number 9. Meet Owen J. Baggett. Owen J. Baggett shot down a whole fighter jet with just his pistol while being stranded thousands of feet in the air, clinging onto his parachute. Quick backstory for the context. Owen J. Baggett was an Army officer who served as the second lieutenant of the 7th Bomb Group of the U.S. Army Forces during World War II. His group, the 7th Bomb Group, was working together with the 10th Air Force in India. They were responsible for protecting the supply line from China to India, as well as interfering with the Japanese supply line from the north of the country to Rangoon, Burma. It is this interference with the Japanese where this conflict or badassery has taken place. While he was jetting towards their target, the B-24s were immediately intercepted by Japanese fighters who immediately started firing at them. It was during this moment that Baggett's plane received the most hits, and attempts to keep it flying were futile. So, Baggett, together with his team, decided to jump off the plane and escape in parachutes. While doing so, they were met with gunshots as soon as they were hanging in the air. 2 of Baggett's crew members were shot while still on air, while Baggett received a bullet in his arm. Seeing that things might turn ugly for him, he pretended to be dead, hoping to fool the Japanese fighters. However, he had already pulled out his Mauser-tool. A .45 caliber gun was calmly resting, being held on the side of his leg. To be sure that he was dead, one of the Japanese fighters came back to check if Baggett was really dead. Little did he know that he had just made a fatal mistake by opening his canopy. Owen raised his pistol and took 4 shots at the Japanese pilot, sending the jet into a spin until it finally crashed down in flames. Number 8. Meet Olga of Kiev. Olga of Kiev. Well, to put it quite simply, she wiped out a whole tribe and killed over 5,000 people after that tribe killed her husband. She's known as one of the most brutal or feared saints in history. I mean, just look at her eyes, bro. She got the dog in her. Once the Drevlians had killed her husband Igor, Prince Mal, the Prince of Drevlians, thought it would be a good idea to send over some people from their tribe to ask her to marry him. Every ambassador that Prince Mal sent was buried alive together with their boat in a ditch. Seeing that she had just made her first gruesome homicide against the Drevlians, she requested Prince Mal to send another batch of representatives, only this time, these ones being high-ranking. For this group, she burned them alive in a bathhouse that had been prepared for them upon their arrival. And she didn't stop there. She ordered the Drevlians to prepare a funeral feast for her husband, insisting that she could only get married to Prince Mal after she had mourned her late husband and done proper rituals. At the feast, the Drevlians were encouraged to drink and get drunk to their fullest to a point they didn't recognize themselves. That night, she ordered her followers to execute all of them, and following the orders, her followers slaughtered the drunk Drevlians in their thousands. Seeing her ruthless nature, the Drevlians decided to barricade themselves within their city, but Olga wasn't done. She somehow acquired an army of pigeons and sparrows with pieces of burning sulfur attached to their feet, and then she used the birds to burn their city to the ground. She really loved her husband. Number 7. Meet Hugh Glass. This guy got into an intense, brutal physical altercation with an adult female grizzly bear, and no, he did not die. Hugh Glass is an American explorer who had gone to scout for food along the Grand River in 1823. Unknowingly for him, he came across an angry grizzly mama bear that instantaneously attacked him on sight, trying to protect her cubs. Unable to reach for his rifle, Hugh Glass immediately got into a hands-on combat with the mama bear and fought with all he had to try and escape her deadly, sharp claws. Seeing that he was losing the battle, he quickly fished out his knife and struck the bear while she shredded his face, chest, arm, and back with her claws. His wounds were so severe that his fellow comrades placed a bear hide over him as funeral shroud and left him for dead. But Glass wasn't done with life yet. Somehow immediately, he regained consciousness, he sent his own leg, wrapped himself in his bear hide shroud, and started crawling along the banks of Cheyenne River. He later came across a rotting log and immediately laid on it via his backside to allow the maggots to feast on his dead flesh, and in the process, prevent the formation of gangrene on his wounded back. He kept himself alive by killing and eating rattlesnakes and managed to crawl for around 200 miles overland for 6 weeks until he finally reached civilization, and everyone was impressed to see him alive. Number 6. Meet Alvin C. York. This man is the definition of one-man army. This man, by himself, captured 132 German soldiers and shot down 35 machine guns from the enemy's lines while being fired at and attacked by all of them. On October 8, 1918, York, a sergeant in the U.S. Army, found himself leading a small patrol behind enemy lines in the Argonne Forest of France. While they were doing their patrol, York's unit encountered heavy German machine gun fire from a nearby hill. The enemy position was well fortified and threatened to decimate York's unit and stall the American advance. Despite being vastly outnumbered and outgunned, York saw this as an opportunity to lock in. With sheer bravery and determination, York went straight to attack the German machine gun position. Alone and armed with only his rifle and a pistol, he charged the enemy emplacement, taking advantage of the cover provided by the terrain. His marksmanship and tactical skills enabled him to eliminate most of the enemy's soldiers and capture 132 soldiers and secure 35 machine guns. Alone! Bro really maxed out all his stats. His actions not only eliminated a significant threat to his unit, but also contributed to the overall success of the Allied offensive in the Argonne Forest. Because of his extraordinary bravery and leadership, York was awarded the Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration awarded by the United States. Number 5. Meet Ferruccio Lamborghini. If I told you that the company of Lamborghini was built out of an argument, you would take me for a nut, but this is the truth. But how does this make him a badass? Well, you see, he did after someone very special told him he couldn't. Let me explain. One day, 2 brilliant geniuses got into a bitter feud over who is best at making the best rides. At that time, Ferruccio Lamborghini was a great entrepreneur in the tractor sector and was well known for his skill set involving tractor engines, while Mr. Enzo Ferrari was known for his prowess in making the best luxury cars. Mr. Ferrari made the Ferrari cars, which back then weren't as reliable as they are today. Mr. Lamborghini went up to Mr. Ferrari and told him to his face, "Your clutches are way too small for supercars, you gotta find a solution to this." Getting bitter at this, Mr. Ferrari answered back, "The clutch is not the problem, you moron. The problem is, you don't know how to drive a Ferrari and you break the clutch." Mr. Lamborghini, feeling defeated, angrily shot back at him. "Dear engineer, I'll never buy your cars again. From now on, I'll make my own cars. Then I can be sure they work the way I want them to." A year later, Mr. Ferruccio founded his Lamborghini company at Sant'Agata Bolognese, and that's when Lamborghini cars were born. Number 4. Meet Sino Haya. Sino Haya, known as one of the most deadliest snipers in history. His nickname, White Death, just sounds like something to not be messed with. Sino managed to kill 500 soldiers of the Red Army within a 100-day period, and for his operations, he liked when the sun was out, where he could easily camouflage in the white snow, where temperatures were between -40 and -20 degrees. He was put as top priority in the Soviets' most targeted list. He was really the real-life Deadshot. But every dog has its own day. Sniper Sino was finally shot in March 1940, only this time it was with an explosive bullet that managed to shatter his left jaw and took off half of his face. But not only does he have the powers of accuracy like Deadshot, he also seemed to possess the reignitive powers of Wolverine, because that damn explosive bullet didn't kill him. In fact, bro continued and managed to push through till the end of the war, and his face fully recovered. Number 3. Meet the Florida man who fought a 7-foot BullShark. Who would have thought a Florida man would make it onto this list? In 2001, Florida State, just like any other cheerful day in the ocean, people had turned up in numbers to enjoy life in the cool breezes of the ocean's monsoon. Among them was an 8-year-old boy named Jesse Arbogast, who, like any other kid, was very curious to explore his surroundings. He swam playfully towards the deeper end of the shore in the zest, beating the ocean's surface with his small arms. Events turned out for the worst, as a hungry shark was heading his way. As he was trying to swim towards the shallow shores, the shark was fast and it quickly bit off his arm. The problem was the shark bit off the wrong kid's arm, because the crazy kid's Florida man uncle wasn't going to let that slide. Drawn by the screaming sounds of the pool of blood in the ocean, the uncle quickly dove into the deeper waters and went to save the boy. After saving him, he sought vengeance. He went back in the water and caught the shark. He punched it and wrestled the shark and dragged it to shore and then shot it, and later retrieved the arm out of the esophagus. According to a certain beach guard, he narrated that the shark was about 7 feet long and weighed 198 pounds or 90 kilograms. How he managed to do all that is nothing but a mystery that has remained unresolved till date. Number 2. Mr.knowledge. Y'all know about me, right?
Richard!
Thanks for watching. Oh, and for number 1 on this list, it's you. Hope you all have a great day, and remember, knowledge is power.
Knowledge.